You hear that?
Yeah, I was I saw the last podcast, the one with the order, the equinox and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Autumn. Yeah, that was deep.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. Good, man. People need to know these things.
Yes. All right,
Yeah.
real quick. Greetings to all my people out there. Greetings. Salam alaikum. Alafia. Peace to my gods and earths. Sak pase. Que pasa? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Grunt TV. I'm your host, Malik Shabazz. And before I go any further, I just want to get the people to remind people out there, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that mash button and the like button, and don't forget to leave your comments. Okay, I got my man, Nigel Simongo, also known as Trinny. And Trinny is a 5th degree black belt in Kuban Taekwondo, studying under the Grandmaster Husan Kang for over 20 years. He's been a martial artist for most of his life. He's a former Marine. Went to Panama, the Gulf War, and Colombia. And today we're going to be discussing health and exercise for the brain, the mind, the body, and the soul. So welcome, Brother Trinny. What's going on?
What's up? Peace.
Chilling. Again, people, this is Grunt TV. I'm your host, Malik Shabazz. And this episode is we're going to be discussing health, exercise to get your mind and your body right. So, Brother Trinny, tell the people a little bit about yourself, man, before we go forward.
All the way back.
All back you want to go?
Okay. My name is Nigel Simongo. I'm a native born in Trinidad and Tobago, for all our West Indian people out there. I came to the United States. My parents sent for us at the age of 7. Went to Catholic school, elementary school, high school, on the South Shore High School. And during that time, coming close to the end of high school, I didn't know what to do, and the recruiters, the CIA recruited me into the Marine Corps. At the time, too, I want to say that was something I was kind of into. I think I was always born with that warrior spirit, and all the bling bling, the weaponry, the tactics and all that stuff kind of inspired me. So that led me to the Marine Corps.
Okay. So what made you want to go to the military?
Like I said, it always intrigued me, that that warrior spirit, and at the time, things that were portrayed on TV, media, news, just in the general public, that the U.S. military was the thing to be in at the time. So you got to remember, anything that I'm talking about too, back then, it's coming from a mindset of immaturity. Was younger, ignorance, and just being a young fool, pretty much. Right?
Well, just to give a little backdrop, put it into context. Me and my man Trinny, we met in the military, and as soon as we met, we basically just connected automatically and stuff like that. And again, we were both young, didn't really know, much about military life and the propaganda and the matrix and stuff like that, and we ended up being sent to war, deployed to combat zones, in Panama and the Gulf War and stuff like that. And so now your experiences in the military, how do you rate it? Like, what were the pros and cons of it?
It definitely had more pros than cons.
Okay.
Right. I would say that because I wouldn't have met someone like you. I wouldn't have met you.
Right.
I didn't go into the military. And the other, my other friends that I met and still know up to today. Right. Definitely learned some stuff. Matured there. Learned some, military tactics. Was able to, see the world a little bit and the world on the other side of things.
Right.
Open up my eyes a little bit more. Because before even going to the military, I would say I was, influenced like I grew up amongst Rastafarians. When I got, into New York, Brooklyn, I was influenced by, some brothers, 5%ers from, 5% Nation Islam, the Hebrew Israelites, I was just around a lot of, conscious brothers that were, like feeding me knowledge, and I knew it, but at the time, I was just into, chasing girls, hanging out, even though the seeds were being planted, it was there, right? That's the pros. The cons, the cons. That was the first time I experienced bigotry, prejudice, racism, lies, immoral behavior of all different types. I mean, I'm coming from a background, West Indian Catholic background, and where I just didn't even witness these things. It was like just a wild man seeing all these new things, in the military that I've never seen before, So, and then the degree of, racism. Now I'm talking about what 30 years ago.
Just
right?
about almost.
Right. So now, I don't know how it is now. I'm pretty sure something has changed. So I'm talking in context of historically. I'm not talking about now. So, I know this is going to be going out there. I don't want people to think that this is the same mentality that I have now.
Right.
But I'm talking about what I experienced way back as a young guy, ignorant, immature, and just seeing things that I've never seen or witnessed before. And most of the time I acted on emotions.
Right.
Uncontrolled emotions.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, 30 years, man, right? It's been a long time, so now, so now it's been 30 years and then you got out. And what was your journey like getting into the, into health and the martial arts and stuff like that?
Right. So even before the military, when I was a young guy, I was always, active into, into the arts, into, my health and, always seeking the more natural way of doing things. It's just in my nature. So it's never like, I never had to say, oh, I got to go exercise. Or I had to find some kind of diet somewhere. We grew up eating whole foods, in Trinny. I didn't see all this. I didn't know about the M&M till I got to, to America, jujubes and, all kinds of, Skittles and all these crazy shit that they got nowadays that just chemicalizing and, polluting our bodies and stuff, right? And while I was in the military and from the experience, I was like, you know what? I want to put my brain to work, not so much brawn. Right. And they weren't allowing me to use my brain in there. Right. So let's backtrack a little bit. One of the reasons, I went in there, the recruiters, recruited me in. And while I was just about to get, go to, Paris Island, I want to say like 2 months before, I was actually influenced by some good friends, close friends of mine to go to college. Right. And that was the route I was actually going at first.
Okay.
But then these evil recruiters, fat, nasty devil recruiters, told me I was going to go to jail if I didn't go. And not me, I didn't know. At the time, a young guy, I didn't know. I had no one, like in my family, they don't know nothing about the military or the laws and stuff like that.
Right, right.
Anybody that can, enlighten me that was all false. A lot of things. That was one. And they said, oh yeah, you could get any job you want to when you get in there. That's one of the things they sell you. Or you
They told me the same thing. Yeah.
Words that I was going to go to jail if I didn't go when they said I was going, right? Because I signed paperwork or whatever it was. And I'm not the only one experiencing. I'm sure a lot of people experienced that. A lot of our brothers and sisters experienced that back in the days. We come in, we're looking for a way out. We ignorant to, the rules, regulations, or whatever is going on. And, they feed us anything and we just swallowed it up, right? Oh, you could do whatever job you want to go to. And I think at the time, I believe I wanted to go into like carpentry or something like that. And they say, oh yeah, you just tell them what you want to do, and because there's all a lie. So that was the first lie that started it, right? And then from there it was just downhill. Yeah. So then while I was in there, I was like not a very an experience that would say that I want to continue. It was good for the time it was, but nothing that made me want. I wanted to use my brain and elevate myself. So, and that's exactly what I did. And naturally, I geared towards what I was already into and what I liked and what I loved doing. Right. So I got a bachelor's in science degree in exercise, physical education and exercise science. And while I was working, I was going towards working with athletes. But then I was interning somewhere and I saw that personal training and stuff in Manhattan was more lucrative, and I could have been more independent that way versus working on a 9 to 5.
Right.
And and that's where I'm at now. And then going to college and then studying and learning the sciences and nutrition, biology, all these things. And then all that time I was practicing my martial arts, stuff that I really loved doing. So to this day, I run my own business. I have a personal training martial arts studio. I have different people, different, trainers and fitness specialists working for me. And I work as a fitness consultant for an insurance company. In addition, when a medical practice, my wife is a doctor, physician, and we both run both businesses together.
Okay. And what does your wife what kind of medicine? She's
in internal medicine and pediatrics. That's just a fancy name of saying she sees everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. And so what's the name of your dojo? You have a name, specific name?
Well, it's comprehensive body conditioning.
Okay.
And it's just, I just incorporate, as I said, it's comprehensive martial arts, yoga, group fitness classes, personal training, self-defense, qigong, tai chi, just incorporating different exercise training modalities. So, someone comes in and, they have a wide pick to choose from.
Okay. Is there a specific area where is generalized that most people gravitate towards?
Eventually, they gravitate towards the personal training because I kind of encourage them to kind of incorporate a comprehensive approach instead of just pumping iron here, and just doing one thing, trying to get a well-rounded, because you need the physical aspect, hard type thing, and then you need the spiritual calming down. I need to balance.
Right.
Can't be always like, they portray, all MMA fighters and, running up and down, and just looking, can't be a beast all the time, man,
Right.
You need that, you need the high, the lows, and the in-betweens to balance each other out.
Okay. And like when they talk to you, do they talk to you like do they have questions about food, like eating and stuff that like what they
Definitely. But my approach, I went to school, studied all the nutrition stuff and the diets and this and that. And you know what? I don't even pay attention to it.
Okay.
Because where did we fall from? When did food become so bad?
Right.
And eating and all this type of stuff. It's like it's traumatic to eat. It's traumatic to eat nowadays, So I tell them, it's simple. Eat whole foods as much as you can get coming, from the ground as much as possible. Eat what's in season and stay away from the junk. Eat when you're hungry. If you're working out and you're working out on a consistent basis, you might need a little extra, right?
Right.
But other than that, stop overeating and eat as natural as possible. I don't get it because when you look at the word diet,
right,
the first three letters DIE.
Oh, die.
And they got like 1,000,001 diets,
right?
Pill potions, that and the other. And guess what? People are still getting fat, obese, heart disease, diabetes. Everything is not getting better. They're just living with it longer with medication.
Okay. And so, right. So basically, you basically stay away from the Western approach of developing health and
standard American diet is sad.
Okay. Yeah.
SAD, standard American diet.
What is it? How's it go? What does it say?
Standard American diet is a sad diet.
Oh,
if you look at the abbreviation, SAD.
Okay.
Makes you sad.
Right.
You get it?
Yeah.
Standard American diet.
Yeah, everything is in the. Sometimes when people don't understand, when they look at words, the answer is almost right in the word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Most times, yes. Most times, yes.
Yeah. So and how long you been doing this for?
We came out of the military. I want to say about close to 30. I want to say full-fledged about 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Full-fledged, close to 30 years.
Right. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm going to go back to the military life, because this is where I think where people can, especially young people coming out of high school, where they're going to be able to weigh out, like which route to take. Because at that age, I recall myself, and I'm sure like you said, the same thing. When we're around 18, 19, years old, like we think at the time that we know everything, like we just, but when you get to like 40, 45, you realize like you didn't really know anything. So like, what would you tell young people in terms of joining the military today?
I would say knowledge is power. Enlighten yourself with as much knowledge as possible. Weigh out your options. Because to be honest with you, I don't have nothing against the military. You can learn a lot from the military, but not going there, not ignorant. You don't want to be ignorant to what you're getting into. My niece, she's a captain in the military, in the Army right now, right? So I would say go in there, but get the knowledge first. Seek knowledge of yourself, seek knowledge of your own history, and get knowledge on the military itself. Find out what what they have, the options they have for you, what they do, and just be prepared. Prepare yourself before you go in there, and it comes down to their decision, right? I'm not going to say not to go, but go in there knowing.
Right. I have a slightly different approach. My approach is this. I tell them, put this way, first of all, I tell them, don't join. But if I can't convince you otherwise, and that's the route you're going to take, everybody's going to take their own role. And that's everybody's decision. as individuals. So if I can't convince them not to go, I tell them, okay, well, if you're gonna go, regardless of what I say, get the highest possible score on your ASVAB and get the most technical job that you can get. Because if just in case you don't like it after 4 years, you can come out having some kind of information. So I'm gonna add what you said, go in there with some knowledge first, a little bit of an understanding of the military and its history, and then add that to basically, again, getting the most, some technical job that's going to give you a step up. And so, when you get out, when you become a civilian, because like for us, and I'm sure it was the same for you, like, coming out of the military being a grunt, because they told me the same thing. I wanted to be a mechanic, yeah, you can become a mechanic, and then they threw me into the infantry, and then when I came out, like, what was that, like, what was my skills? Become a police officer or security guard. That's the only skill that infantry.
Right, exactly. That I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be stuck on there.
Right.
And you remember too, bro. You got to remember when we joined. Back then, our families, our culture, we were just was for the most part lost.
Right.
To what it entailed.
Right.
And what it required. It was just all way out. Oh yeah, American military, yeah, coming from our cultural background.
Right.
Our families didn't know.
Right.
Nothing.
And also families, because the way the propaganda on the military is, they make it seem like when you join the military, like you're doing something good, like, like, hey, my son's in the military, my daughter's in the military,
right.
This is something to be proud of, But when you understand the role of the military, especially, I always point out to people, if you listen to Smedley Butler, Major General Smedley Butler, he said war's a racket, and look what's going on today, like
suicide rate, right?
Yeah, the suicide rate, and then
why people killing themselves like that?
Yeah, and they love you when you join, and then when you get out, they don't want to hear from you. So like today, we have more homeless veterans than we did during Vietnam, and the suicide rate, like you said, they say like 2 or 3 a day or something like that, because they're not getting help. Because, and I remind people that the mind, which deals with the whole how your health it control it you can if your mind is bad, you ruin your health. Like, if you're always stressed out, stuff like that, you can get sick from that stress. So, I tell people, it's almost like the people who claim to be pro-life. Let the baby live, let the baby live, let the baby live. When the baby's born, it's like, fuck you, you're on your own, buddy. And then they don't give a shit about you until you're about 18, to your military age. Like, hey, come on, son, come on in, join the military. So yeah, so like I said, everything's connected, and I think that a lot of people, again, we have to learn a little bit more about taking care of ourselves, our mind, and our bodies, with the intake of food, because in indigenous philosophy, eating was medicine. Eating is medicine. It's not like just eating just to eat. So everything should be for eating. And I know you briefly touched on, which we could probably make the connection. You touched on my last podcast on Baba Pearson, our community healer. He has every 3 months. It's broken into 4. Every 3 months, you have the summer solstice. What is it? The summer solstice. What's the summer? The spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice. So it's 3 months for each. So like when you viewed that particular podcast and what the brother the Baba was saying, how did you
I'm in total agreement.
Okay.
I'm in total agreement with that. I tend to kind of like follow my cultural way, which is pretty much the same. The Ayurveda. Ayurveda is just saying the Chinese and African medicine.
Okay.
It's the same thing. One thing we gotta remember is all the ancient cultures lived and practiced that way.
Okay.
It got lost in the West
Okay.
and started following the Western ways and stuff like that. Because I can remember, growing up, as a young boy in Trinidad, and if I can recall, and that's pretty much how they did things. They didn't do it, and they did it just naturally out of tradition,
Right.
right? They got conditioned when they got introduced to the Western ways and foods and things like that, right? Because now you go down there, you go to the islands, you'll find, American foods and, the stuff that's not in season
Right.
in the grocery stores.
Right.
I remember all we got was whatever was in season at the time.
And that's what the Bible was talking about.
Yeah, at the supermarket.
Right.
Right. And it's in season, the foods change, the weather changed, and our bodies changed. So we originally had learned how to adapt to that, but it got lost along the way
Okay.
in the Western way. So now it's like, get whatever, whenever, whenever you feel like, and it's not in tune with your body or with nature. So that's why people suffer with all these, different allergies. And if you notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, and you could, take a mental note of it, when the seasons change,
Mm-hmm.
that's when people tend to get sick more.
Mm.
And that because that's the time where you should be cleansing, fasting, and preparing the body for the next season to come in.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
What do you find people's hardest, the hardest thing for them to start getting into? Like, what's the main? Is there a certain particular block that people find, like, to try to, they want to get into the health, but there's like it's difficult to try to get started. Like, how do you get them to get started? Like, what are you talking about?
What I realize is with some people, the willingness to start is there, but you got to remember most of our people are starting being diseased already, right? So it's hard because you have to, I'm not a professional. I would say I'm a referral resource.
Okay.
Go to someone like what's the brother
Baba Pearson. Baba Pearson.
You need to seek out someone like him.
Okay.
Right, to learn how to cleanse and take out all those toxins and things like that. Because most of us are, when people decide to go and get into a fitness program, change their diet, they're already coming from a disease state.
Okay.
And they need to make those corrections, physiologically, mentally, and physically. The corrections need to be made because if not, they're going to be stuck. They're going to be stuck, and it's going to be harder for them to, because then they just try. What happens is they end up saying, because somebody told them, to eat some bananas,
Okay.
and the bananas is going to get them all using bananas.
A one item solution.
Yeah. No, and that's not true. We all have different body types, and you need a professional to help you out to recognize that and find the right things for you to consume for your body type.
Is the book is the book 1 and 2 by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live? Would you recommend people read that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Again, as I said before, people eat too much, and they eat too much of the wrong things.
Right.
And they need to know about also fasting, which is a natural cleansing. Because once you start fasting, the body's organs, all the organs naturally go into a cleansing mode. That's what they meant to do. Most people would be dead already. Okay. If the organs wasn't doing the jobs they were supposed to do, whether we think about it or not. Right? Nowadays, in the health and fitness industry, all of a sudden, they got fasting as remedies. They got like 10 different types of fasting. And they call it intermittent fasting and this fasting and that fasting, because it's found to be highly beneficial for the body. But the problem is that most of them are coming or trying to get more of a vanity, cosmetic, physical purpose
Right.
for the fasting,
Right.
right? Where originally our cultures are done it for spiritual reasons,
Right.
which
And
is
it's,
it's okay. It's okay. I mean, and it's okay. It definitely gets you, you know, buffed and diesel. Believe it or not, by eating less.
okay.
Yeah, and then most people, don't know that.
And I guess a lot of people think of this whole exercise and diet thing. They sometimes they have a tendency just to look at it from a physical perspective, just the external. Like, oh, you'll hear people say, oh, I don't want to eat that. That'll give you I'll get fat, if I eat that. You know what I'm saying? So it's really like they're just dealing with the physical aspect of the body, not the internal.
They make food scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It shouldn't be. It's, eating, sleeping should be something pleasure.
Okay.
Eating, sleeping, and just simply going on a walking in nature, getting on a walking program.
Right.
You be, I would say people should be more concerned about health of their health first before before the vanity or the physical aspect of it. Because that's people most people want to get into, like they want to lose fat, they want to look diesel, tone up and stuff. That's a plus to your health.
Okay.
They should focus on their health, meaning whatever, like taking care of their diabetes, taking care of high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease. A lot of the chronic things that we as a people, the culture deal with, that should be taken care of first.
Okay. And just for the record, Baba Pearson, he be in Brooklyn on a regular. Yeah. Yeah, he's from Brooklyn, man. Yeah, he's from Brooklyn. He goes to Brooklyn pretty often, And in fact,
you gotta let me know. You gotta put me on to when
I'm gonna connect you with him, and that way y'all can link up and everything, and then exchange knowledge and information. Because like I said, Baba is he's our community healer, and I had a few people who actually came to me, and what the discussion led to where, hey, well, you know what? I know there's Baba who you can call him and you can get with him, and he'll put you on the right track, and I say, you're gonna be, some people may complain about the price or whatever, what he charges. I said, but you know what? It's better than doctor bills.
Yeah.
It's better. It's less expensive than doctor bills. Because when you're up in that hospital, In fact, my wife just my queen just not too long ago, she
not only that, the medications they pay. Some nowadays, people have 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 different types of medications.
Yeah.
That they have live with.
Yes.
The rest of their lives.
Yes.
And all that up.
Right. In fact, it's funny because, and I know that they do this just to make their money because that's the way Western culture is. But a lot of the people, Michael Moore, he had a documentary. It was what's the name of the documentary? I forget the name of it, but anyway, he brought some 9/11 first responders to Cuba, and they because they were being the prices that and of the medicines that they were required, that they were told that they had to take, like you said, they had a bin full of all kinds of medication. But when they went to Cuba, the Cuban doctors basically took them off like almost half of those things. You don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need this, you don't need that, and they basically just say, okay, take this, A lot of it is probably just to prolong their life, because a lot of it had to do with all those poisons that were released in the air with the destruction of the towers and Building 7. And one of the ladies that was on that documentary, I'll never forget it, it was a white lady. She had to use those little, when you have asthma. And
asthma pump, the pumps.
Right, asthma pump. I think it was like, put this way, it was expensive, like $75 or something like that. It was pretty expensive. But when she went to Cuba, they were 5 cents. And in the documentary, she was crying, like happy tears, and almost in like a shock, also being in shock, like, man, you know, in America they charge you this, and over here they charge you this, you know. And I remind people that again, when you have when you're because see, we don't have I say we don't have healthcare in this country. We have death care, you know. It's not that, you know. So, but in Cuba, the Cubans that want to become doctors, they become doctors because they want to help people genuinely, because they're not surgeons and stuff like that, and they're not millionaires. And when you ask, I think that if you took a poll on doctors nationwide, if they're honest, they would probably say that they want to become doctors because you can make money. You know, you can become rich, you know, or at least super upper middle class, you know. So, but in Cuba, it's not the same way. You got surgeons that are riding bikes, you know. In fact, I remember I went to Cuba and I seen like elders on bicycles, like going up hills, like just whistling. And I'm like, Lord, you probably put me to shame if I got on that bike. I'd be huffing and puffing, you know. But yeah, again, like I said, you know, health is real important. We say health is our wealth. And if you have your health, automatically you are a millionaire, you know, because you can have all
the money in the world is not gonna.
Perfect example, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, look at all the money he had. They had nothing to do for him. He had all that money and he died. He got sick, you know.
And well, a point I want to bring across, you know, we want our health, not so much to just live longer, but to live well, age well.
Right.
Age well. You're not in the hospital sick, and you have your whole family taking care of you because, you know, they got to feed you, change you, that kind of thing. That puts a burden. You know, nobody wants to do that, and nobody likes that. Nobody wants to do that. Right. You want to be independent up to the day you go to your grave, and that's for me, and that's what I try to tell my clients. That would be the goal. You know, my goal. I want to play with my grandchildren.
Right. And I tell you,
you know, it's not just to live longer for vanity reasons, but to live and age well.
Right. And not to have complications while you're
pain, complications. You can barely walk. You're in a wheelchair. You got people taking care of you. People, you know, cleaning you, and
right.
That's not the way, and that's not living. And all your money that you worked hard for, Social Security, all the stuff is going into paying doctor bills and paying the government or whoever, where all that money that you have saved up in Social Security, you should be taking vacations and going out, having a good time, you know, you know, doing whatever you want to do and just relaxing for your retirement, not spending money on doctor bills.
Right. I mean, I tell people over and over, I see it every day, you know. I be building with the rosters, you know, and Baba Pearson is 77. And I remember one time we was having his Earth Strong celebration, and he was on a dance floor moving and everything, and everybody, oh, I'm tired. So I see it. My father's a perfect example. My father's 83, you know, and my father, he walks like regular, you know. And you know, General Rashid, you know, one of our, if you watch the interview with him, he's the same age as my father, you know. He's 80, okay, he's 84, so my father's 83 or 84, but anyway, they're pretty much the same age, you know. And General Rashid, you know, basically he rides the bike every day, like clockwork, you know. He rides 5 miles every day, you know. He shamed me into going to the gym with him, you know. So he had a pass for guests, and he said, "Come on, you need to come, you know." And I went to the gym with him, and you know, like I said, man. And so I tell people, listen, the exercise, the food, you know, and also another thing that I would add to all that is that your brain is a computer, and they say if you don't use it, you lose it, just like everything else. So to the health thing, I would always say, listen, you want your mind healthy too, so you should always be reading, you know, and learning, because, you know, I always tell people, you're never too old to learn. Like you said, I'm going on vacation. Yeah, I'm going on vacation, have a good time, enjoy yourself, but also learn in these places that you go to, because I'm sure those people that are that age, they have grandchildren, some even great grandchildren, you know, and that knowledge is important to pass that on to them before you transition to the ancestral world, because you know, if we don't do that, then what we'll do is that we subject our families, our grandchildren, our children, our grandchildren, and even great grandchildren to the same madness, you know, because we don't pass that information to our
right. So I would add to what you just said, you know, reading, knowledge, you know, constantly learning, for the brain, meditation, praying, and our ancestors, you know, people look at the martial arts and, you know, the yoga and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of it is seen, you know, again, you know, is vanity and performance. But they knew way back then that was also good for the mind, body, spirit, right? For the brain, right? Because if you look at the fitness trends today, they mimic what the ancient people were doing. They just call it all different types of names, separated differently so they can charge you. You know, they split everything up. You know, that's the Western capitalism way of things. They split everything up. But if you really took a good look at it, these ancient people were doing that a long time ago because they understood what it did for the body. It wasn't just to go out there and you know, just to look good and, you know, or for the purpose of, you know, going to war and things like that. It kept the body healthy, right? The way the nature of how they use different types of weapons. You see all our, you know, the ancient cultures using weapons and things. That's because it's training the brain as well, even all the way up to an older age, because you're constantly learning new things. And they mimic that in the health and fitness by using different apparatus. I mean, just a different equipment that you're using. But the main thing is that you're constantly challenging the mind, body, brain, so that it can elevate, so it gets better and it stays in tune. Because they have this thing, once the body realizes there's nothing else for it to do, it shuts down. I believe it's called scene sense or something like that, where it says, oh, I have no more use for this person, so it's taking you out. Yeah,
so the body gives up, basically just gives up, say, oh, whatever, you know.
Yeah, it said, well, I have no purpose here in this life, so I'm taking you out.
Right. You know what? I never thought about it like that. That's an interesting point of
this. That's I quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's scene sense, where it just starts to deteriorate from internally. Right. You serve no purpose.
So yeah, because I noticed, you know, and for those who may want to watch it with Baba Pearson, he broke down every equinox and every solstice basically in food groups. You know, like during the spring, you eat this, that does the liver, your intestine, your pancreas, and then the next, you know, then you have this spring, summer, fall, and then you got the summer solstice, and then different body, different organs with different foods. So I say that because that what you just said, where is that now you're giving those organs that those vitamins, so they feel useful. Because now you're feeding them, and you know, so okay, thank you for feeding me. I'm gonna be strong, and I'm gonna keep you alive.
Take care of you, right? I'm gonna take care of you. You take care of me, I take care of you, and then that's what it is. And so, but the disease set in when our organs are overworked and you're not giving it what it's supposed to get.
And that's another reason for fasting. It gives time for your organs to rest. Your stomach, you know, because if you keep eating, your stomach has to keep working to digest the food, and you wear out the liner inside your stomach, you know, so you need to get the rest, and then when doing that, then you flush out all the poisons out of your intestines.
I know you brought up How to Eat to Live book 1 and 2. One of the things Elijah Muhammad touched in there was the brain and gut connection. All of a sudden now it's a big Harvard University finding science. Right. A connection with the brain and the gut. They closely relate to each other. If one hurts, the other hurts. Right. And they speak to each other on a constant basis. Right. And all of a sudden is a big finding.
Right. You know, and you know, it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember this like it was yesterday, because I ended up calling my father because I was watching a news. This was before I moved to Miami. I was in New York. And I was watching the news, and they had a segment on health, and the doctors were recommending to the people that they eat once a day. I'm like, y'all passing this thing off as like, this is your idea? You know, the messenger been teaching this for 30 years.
And the unfortunate thing, most of our people won't accept it until it comes from that source.
Right. If it comes from a white doctor, then you went to medical school. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't have no medical degree, but yet he had the recipe and the answer. You know.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, they steal everything. So we got to be aware of that too. That's another thing that we got to get away from. We got to get away from always thinking that white folks got the answer, you know, and that when it comes from us, it doesn't mean anything, you know.
Right.
So especially if you don't hold a degree, you know. I remind people, Malcolm didn't have a degree. Malcolm dropped out of school in the 8th grade. In fact, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad dropped out in the 3rd grade. And yet we still got the Nation of Islam still up and running today.
I'm sure a lot of you could recall when we were younger, you know, grandma, grand auntie and stuff, they had all the remedies, but did they have a degree?
No.
When we got sick and stuff like that, they had no degrees.
Yeah. And I
They went out in the back, picked up a bush.
Yeah.
Boiled
Get the Cersei, you know, boil the Cersei, you know, get the bitters, you know. And so we remind people out there, you know what I'm saying, before we close out, our health is our wealth, you know, and we have people in our community like brother Nigel, aka Trinny, you know, we got Baba Pearson, and we have other elders here in the community. I'm sure you have elders and rosters, and you know, in New York, in Brooklyn, and wherever you live, in Long Island, wherever, and you know, and we should seek out these people. So real quick, if anybody that's going to be listening to this that's living in New York, where can they find you? How can they contact you? If they want to come and you know, invest in their health.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up. In the near future, and I'm sure we're gonna get on this, you know, podcast again in the near future. I'm in the process of building up a website, a web app, where me and some colleagues we're gonna be sharing all our knowledge of health, fitness, nutrition, education on that, and you will have like a different, you know, price ranges of, you know, what you know what we want to do. So in the near future, I'm going to share that with you and you know, pass that out there. But in the meantime, should I give it to you or what? Like
you can just right there, just say it out and things. So when people listen, like I said, anybody from New York, if you're in New York and you're in the Long Island area, just in New York itself, because Long Island's right there, you know, it's all that.
Okay, the best way right now is to just email me at cbcstudio228@gmail.com. So that's cat boy cat
228.
Yeah, CBC Studio. CBC CBCSTUDIO 228@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's the best way to, you know, any questions you may have, you know, then I'll, you know, share all the updates.
Yeah, because
answer questions, you know, through there.
Right.
For now, that would be the best way.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes people, they like hands-on, you know, they rather have someone there physically showing them, teaching them, as opposed to them just reading, like going on a website or reading a book. Some people,
all right, definitely. That's why I want
to. They need the hands-on, and you know, some people.
I'm like that myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too. When it comes down to learning certain things, you know, like on the computer, learning these technology. When I've been learning how to do this podcast, you know, I read a little bit. I go on YouTube tutorials, but I learn more. Somebody comes over and they show me. You know, I'm more of like a, you know, hands-on, you know. So I do what I can with the tutorials online and stuff like that, or some type of instruction. But I'm more like the certain things I like to be like a person there with me and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what's up, man. So yeah, again, you know, me and Trinny, we go way back. You know, man, almost 30 years already since we met in the military. And you know, of course, I believe in the whole concept of vibrations. That our vibration was always, we connected immediately, and even though we were living in the matrix, those seeds were planted. Like I was raised in a nation, so the seeds already planted, they were just dormant, you know. And all the stuff that you how you grew up in the Caribbean, You know, in Trinidad, those a lot of that, especially you say you moved to the States when you were 8, right?
Yes, yeah, 7, 8.
7, 8. So that means you had from birth to 7 or 8 years old of just your
Oh,
culture.
yeah, even back then too, and like I said, and I grew up amongst a lot of Rastafarians, and at that time, when the whole grassroots movement was out with, like, Stokely Carmichael and these guys, and that movement stuff was there.
Right.
And believe it or not, I probably was like 2 years old, and the Rastafarians had me in their shoulder, marching and going to.
Okay.
You
Yeah. Because we have a lot of there's a lot of
there's
there's a lot of organizing in Brooklyn. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of organizing in Brooklyn. So yeah, people out there, once again, we want to appreciate and give thanks to brother Nigel, because again, we have individuals out here who've been able to pierce through that layer of the matrix and escape it, and be able to acquire knowledge to help others, because that's what we do it for. We do it for ourselves, but we also do it our families, and then our extended families. So once again, brother Trinny, I want to give thanks to you, and send out my love to your queen and your children. May they all have their health and their happiness. And one last question. Before I let you go, what's your position on activism? Community activism, in terms of,
I'm for it. I know you wrote in here, revolutionary activism. I'm all for it. When people hear the concept of revolutionary, a lot of times they see war and fighting and stuff like that. But you got to be a revolutionary activist in anything that you do.
right?
Like myself, I want to take it into the context of the health and fitness. I read the books, I got the degrees, I went to them, but I want to say revolutionary on that, because a lot of that stuff, I'm like, it's.
And you know what? Dr. Khalid said it. Dr. Khalid said it. He said, listen, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be a revolutionary street sweeper. If you're going to be a doctor, be a revolutionary doctor. If you're going to be a teacher, be a revolutionary teacher. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do. So yes, this is part of the revolution. I'm glad you brought that point up, because I want to emphasize on that. Because I myself, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. As a joke, I always tell people, when we was in the military, you didn't know, it was another friend of mine. He was overweight, so they sent him to see a nutritionist, right?
Mhm.
His brother, big. So when he went, and the next time I said, like, well, what happened? How did it work out? He's like, man, that nutritionist was fatter than me, and she's trying to tell me.
Yeah. And that's yeah.
Like,
It's almost like when you go see a marriage counselor, the person that's talking to you ain't never been married.
you go to a lot of doctors and orthopedic surgeons and stuff like that, and this one and that one, they all look like they need some help saving themselves.
So that's the deal. So yeah, people, once again, your health is your wealth. Again, you can catch Brother Nigel at CBC Studio at Gmail.
CBC Studio 228 at Gmail.
There you go. There you have it, and I'll put that in the link. And so anybody out there in New York and Brooklyn and Manhattan or whatever, in Long Island, you want to travel to Long Island and see the brother, pay him a visit, definitely check him out, because he's got a lot of information that will definitely help you and your loved ones. So once again, welcome to coming. Thank you for coming out to Grunt TV, and peace and love, bro.
Before we go,
yes,
definitely want to give thanks and praises to the Most High for allowing us to come here together. We want to give him thanks for brothers like yourself, for instilling you with the knowledge, wisdom, to share what our people is in much need of in this time and day.
okay.
Right? So definitely got to give thanks for that.
Absolutely. And to the ancestors, absolutely. The ancestors are always with us. So again, check my brother out, and I'll be in New York soon, so we're going to come checking you.
Yes,
all
sir.
right, my brother.
All right, peace.
One love, peace and love, brother.
Peace.